Heavy heart, out on the road. Long time since I've been home. Feels like I'm running back to you.
Welcome to My Comic Shop History. I am your host, Anthony Desiato. This is the third and final in a series of podcast specials tying into the release of the documentary film My Comic Shop Country, available now to purchase or rent on iTunes and Amazon. In this episode, I bring back Shawn Hendricks of Fat Moose Comics as he tells us the story about how he became owner of the shop sometime after the filming of My Comic Shop Country. Shawn and I recorded this at Fat Moose in Whippany, New Jersey in early March, shortly before everything shut down during the pandemic. I'll take this opportunity to reiterate what I've been saying in all of these episodes. I hope everyone is staying safe and healthy and inside. If you have the ability to support your local comic shop, I certainly encourage you to do so. This is obviously a very trying time for all of us. And on the small business front, comic shops are especially hard hit. So if you have the ability to reach out and see what services your local comic shops are offering, whether it's online ordering, curbside pickup, anything like that, I'm sure it would be appreciated. So I'm very excited to present this sort of like an epilogue to My Comic Shop Country. Again, I filmed the doc back in mid to late 2018. So numerous developments have transpired since the filming of the movie, and we address a few of them in the episode, but the heart of the episode is really about Shawn assuming ownership of Fat Moose Comics, so you can hear all about how that came to be. Before we get into that, I want to give a shout out to our sponsors. My Comic Shop History is brought to you in part by the Hive Comics and Games, an oasis of nerd fun and events in the heart of Odessa, Texas. Whether it's comic book superhero stories or role-playing in a dungeon, the Hive is where to be. Come face off against the top Magic the Gathering players in West Texas. The Hive carries a majority of new comic titles each Wednesday and has all of your favorite titles in their back issue section. Follow them on Facebook at The Hive Comics and on Instagram at The Hive Comic Shop. Additionally, during this current pandemic, the Hive has implemented curbside pickup and online ordering. So if you're in the area and if you have the ability to take advantage of those services, I certainly encourage you to do so. Additionally, My Comic Shop History is brought to you by a family of film festivals. The Brightside Tavern Film Festival in Jersey City, New Jersey this August, the Hang On to Your Shorts Film Festival in Asbury Park, New Jersey this September, and the Point Lookout Film Festival on Long Island, New York this November. Get tickets at brownpapertickets.com, and if you're a filmmaker, submit your work via Film Freeway. Be sure to listen to the official Hang On to Your Shorts podcast, hosted by Chris Cullen, the festival organizer, via a shared universe podcast network, and also check out Chris's new show, Cullen on Film. So thank you very much to our sponsors for helping us create this podcast. One other quick plug, if you're looking for more My Comic Shop Country content, there are deleted scenes available at the Patreon page. It's patreon.com/Anthony Desiato. There are clips that you can get either monthly, bi-weekly, or weekly, depending on your reward tier. These are primarily unused interview excerpts that I'm now releasing on the Patreon page. So there's a lot of really great stuff like anecdotes and store histories and things like that. So if you're looking to go even further with your My Comic Shop Country experience, I hope that you will check that out. And on that note, let's get right into my conversation with Shawn Hendricks of Fat Moose Comics. So you were on a couple of episodes ago. We recorded a movie commentary track for My Comic Shop Country.
Wait, I can't do this weird time skip stuff. We just recorded that.
I just said you were on a couple of episodes ago.
Right, but like 5 minutes ago in real time. It's a podcast marathon today.
Yes, we are recording these two episodes together. I didn't go back. I wasn't like, oh, it's been so long.
Oh, I know. We should have did that though. Like, oh man, remember back when we did that podcast thing?
I wouldn't. That would be disingenuous. I wouldn't go that far. But yes, we are still here on this.
A nice long day of talking.
Same afternoon, recording another episode. But I thank you for being on that other episode.
I
the
thank you for
track.
Thanks for inviting me on. It was amazing, if I do say so.
It was it was fun comment. Like it's
I've never done that before, so it's weird because
I know
you gotta. You don't want to have a stilted conversation and you want to honor what's on screen, but you don't want to be like, slavish towards it, like we're discussing every single detail that's on the screen. But so you go off on a tangent, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, but wait, this part's cool.
Yes.
Like it's difficult.
Yeah, so I've done it now. I've done it for all three of my prior documentaries, and I actually did a commentary track for the extended Kickstarter cut of My Comic Shop Country with my wife. So I've done, a few of these now, but it is different than doing like a typical podcast episode. Like it has its own challenges, but it's fun too.
I'm glad we did that one first.
Yes.
Now I can loosen up a little.
And so this is an important episode. This is what I'm calling our Whatever Happened To episode because, I shot My Comic Shop Country in 2018, in the latter part of 2018. So a decent amount of time has passed. And,
It's a simpler time.
well, in some ways. But I didn't have a kid then. So
I didn't have a comic shop then. So yeah, it was a simpler time.
I suppose. But so, a decent amount of time has passed and a number of the subjects, the stores in the movie have undergone numerous changes, including you and Fat Moose Comics. So I thought it would be fun to kind of take this episode and sort of address some of those changes with a specific focus, since we're here with you, on your new role at Fat Moose and how this came to be. So whatever happened to the Fat Moose of Whippany?
We're still here, man. They can't kill us.
You took over as owner. So when I interviewed you for My Comic Shop Country, you were an employee. You were Register Monkey.
Register Monkey.
And as of January 1, 2020, you are now owner, Fat Moose Comics.
Operator. And yeah, it happened very suddenly, very unexpectedly. I probably should have seen it coming, but I guess we should jump right in.
So Fat Moose founded, and I've learned a lot through you and through the podcast that we've done, but Fat Moose founded in 82 by Elon.
Elon Strasser.
Right? He sold it in, what year was that?
I don't know. What year was it?
Not that long ago. It was in the 2000s.
2014 maybe?
To
Was that
2011.
right? I'm getting a thumbs up from Justin.
Oh, the thumbs up.
2014.
Okay. To Scott.
Scott bought it and ran it for 2 years, but Scott also owned Highlander Games in Boonton, and he found running two stores to be a bit much. So then in 2016, thank you, thumbs up, I got the date right, thank you, Justin. 2016, he sold it to Matt, who worked here. Matt had come into a little bit of money, and Scott was like, I don't want to run two stores. Highlander's my baby that I created, so do you want Moose? And so Matt took over as the owner. And
so you worked under Matt for these past few years.
I wouldn't say under Matt. No, jeez. I worked adjacent to Matt.
Hey, you were the one in the documentary talking about how your entrance is in the rear. So
That's true. Jeez, we're working blue today. We're gonna get one of those ratings on iTunes. No, so yeah, I worked for Matt. As I always said to him, he'd say something like, "Well, I'm the boss." I was like, "I don't have a boss." It's like, "I got an employer. Daddy ain't got a boss."
So tell me what was your routine like when you worked here? This was part-time. You were only here like a couple days a week?
Well, the hours changed around a bit, but what it ended up being was Tuesdays and Wednesdays from like 3 to 8.
Okay.
That was it. Tuesdays, I'd come in usually around the same time as that the UPS would come with the books, and Matt would leave because Matt's got a little daughter, and so he'd take her home, and I would process the new books. And, the whole routine. Count them in, make sure there's no damages, nothing's missing, blah, blah, blah. Put them in with the box holders, put the rest on the shelf, vacuum the place, make it look lovely, spray a little Febreze and lock it up. And then I would come in on Wednesday, which is New Comic Book Day, around the same time, because I would work at the pizzeria for the lunch rush. I'd been working there for like 26 years. It was a summer job that lasted 26 summers. Such an easy gig, and the money was good, and the guy got along with everybody, so I stayed.
And delivery? You were a delivery?
Mostly, yeah. Oh, I called it a culinary transportation specialist.
Perfect.
Yeah. But
so those were the two.
Those were the jobs. So I'd come in here Wednesday, and from 3 to 8, I'd be the register monkey when everybody came in for their new books.
But so what year did you start working for Moose generally when you was under?
2009.
Okay.
And when he hired me, I'd been a customer since 2001. So we knew each other very well.
So you've had a long history with Fat Moose as both a customer and then later an employee.
Yes. So Moose hired me in 2009 just to work Sundays so he could watch the Giants. And then when the season ended, he's like, I like having a Sunday off, and you're pretty good at this, so keep your Sundays. Then when Scott bought it, He said, I spoke with Elon, and he said, I'd be a fool not to keep you on because you know the customers, you know the product, you're friendly with everybody. So Scott gave me more hours. And then when Matt took over, Matt gave me more hours. But then it was a struggle financially for him to compensate me for those hours. So he cut back a little bit. So I was literally doing 10 hours a week here. That was it.
Right. All right. So long history with the store. You've worn a couple different hats here, customer, employee. So it was during the holidays, right? 2019, yeah. the end of this previous year where things took a turn. And for a brief moment, it looked like the store was going to close.
Well, originally Matt wanted to sell it. He just didn't want to deal with it anymore. He had a young daughter, and he lost his sparkle. He just wasn't into it. He wanted to be anywhere other than here. And that's fine. Human beings change. He came in very enthusiastic and did a couple years and just decided it wasn't what he wanted to do. Can't fault him for that. So he had a few potential buyers. And I honestly didn't think any of that was going to pan out. Everybody always said, oh, maybe I'll buy it. And, oh, yeah, sure. Okay. So the night was December 20th. It was a Friday night, December 20th, 2019. I was playing a gig. It was a holiday gig, big corporate, 400 people. Everybody's dressed up nice and get up there and doing my little thing. And between sets, I see that Matt had texted me. I'm like, oh, I wonder what Matt wants. Probably asking me, where did you put this thing or what the hell, And I look at it, and it was a long text, but basically it said, I don't know how to say this, so I'm just going to say it. I'm closing the store. I've had it. I'm not turning a profit. I'm not enjoying it. I'm announcing tomorrow that I'm closing right after Christmas. I got a guy coming in this weekend to look at everything and make a bulk offer on everything in the store, and that's it. I'm out. And my heart dropped because I knew he wasn't enjoying himself, and I knew he wanted to sell, but it was like with Steve Odo at Alternate Realities where he would talk about closing, and everybody's like, he's not really going to do it. He's not really going to do it. And then he did it.
Yeah.
So it was very
February 2015. He put up that notice that the store was closing. I mean, that's why, it has been very interesting for me to watch you over these past few months because I identify with your journey to a point. The major difference being, I didn't save my store the way you did. You stepped in and you've kept it going. We'll talk about how that came to be, but. Again, I know what it's like to be, very involved with the store, for a store to mean, a lot to me, for the announcement to come that the store is closing and to sort of have to deal with all of the emotions that go along with that. So, as you're saying this, it's like, again, I think about when I saw that notice from Steve go up, and it's just like a punch to the gut.
Was that a surprise to you? Like, he didn't talk to you first? He just put that up out of the blue?
Yeah, he just put that up.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's like a punch to the gut.
I will say, in fairness, and I've talked about this on the show, I was, in the last couple of years of the store, I was not as regular a presence. I wasn't there every Wednesday the way I had been. If I had, maybe he would have said something, but the sense that I've gotten, I don't think he was really, and I could be wrong, I don't think he was really telling people. Now, that being said, as you know, and as longtime, listeners know, this was a pretty regular thing with him where he was very clear, he didn't intend to keep doing this indefinitely.
He's always on the precipice of closing.
But as far as okay, I'm actually going to be putting up an announcement tomorrow. Yeah, no, it was just all of a sudden we saw it.
Well, that's very similar. Like I said, I got that text on the Friday the 20th. And now my mind is spinning, my stomach hurts. I'm like, no. And I got to go play 2 more sets of music in front of 400 people and
show must go on.
Slap on a smile and pretend I'm not dying inside. So between the second and third set, while the rest of the band went to eat and have a cocktail, I'm outside and I'm texting furiously. I sent the text to Elon, the original owner. I sent the text to you.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I was in that initial.
Yeah. There were and then I sent the text to Scott because Matt had bought the store from Scott. And Elon got back to me immediately. He's like, no. It's like, he can't kill my baby, So
Elon moved out to Seattle, and he now owns a store called Mighty Moose Comics.
Mighty Moose Comics in the Factoria Mall, I believe. And he was like, what do we do? We have to save the store. What do we do? I'm like, I don't know. I'm in the middle of a gig here. Let me get back to you. And then you wrote back to me oh my God, I can't believe it. And what are you going to do? I said, I don't know. I'm in the middle of a gig, for God's sake. I don't know. And then Scott got back to me wait a minute. We got to figure something out. We're not going to let that store go away. It means too much to too many people.
So we're going to come back to this moment. But prior to Matt announcing that the store was closing, like, was becoming owner something that was an aspiration of yours?
No.
No. Really?
No,
You were
no.
happy being a register monkey?
Well,
I don't mean to say that in a judgmental way.
No, not at all. It's funny how many people since I took over, I'm like, oh, you're living the dream. I'm like, this was not the dream. The dream was rock star. That was the dream. As a musician, the dream was write, record, perform, tour the world, see the sights,
And your jobs, like at the pizza place and at the comic shop, allowed you to still pursue music, right? Like,
Right.
you play gigs.
Yeah, the pizzeria is very flexible because I'd been working there since like 1991 or 2. Very flexible. The comic shop, of course, is flexible, and it allowed me to do. The music was the focus, and it was great having 3 jobs like that. Part-time musician, part-time pizzeria, part-time register monkey. It broke up the day. It broke up the week. It wasn't a routine, like grind, like every day's the same thing. So the dream was not to own a shop. The dream was to work at a shop because I could just have fun and stock the shelves and hang out with customers. And, I didn't have to run the thing. I didn't have to do the order forms. I didn't have to pay the rent and the utilities and deal with all of that. I got to be Flavor Flav and be the hype man and jump around. Yeah, now I'm Chuck D and I got to run this thing.
No, it's like, look, I get it. And, we talked about Steve and the way he ran alternate realities. We've talked about that a lot on the show. Your customer who made a drinking game out of it will have a field day with this episode.
Oh, hi, Phil. He's listening.
But, one thing that myself and my fellow coworkers and the fellow, the former owners of the store, I mean, the thing that I think we all recognized was that, even though maybe we didn't agree with every choice Steve made with the store, we did recognize and respect and appreciate that it was his decision to make, and that he had a level of, financial investment and responsibility that we never had to worry about. And aspects of running the business that now you're very familiar with, but, paying bills and things like that, just the daily, day-to-day tasks of running any kind of business. So, to be able to come in and break down a shipment and talk to the customers and recommend books and change around some displays, that is work, but,
but it's the fun part.
It's the fun part, and you're removed from, the even more behind-the-scenes stuff that can be incredibly challenging. So, so I mean, I get it. So you were happy with this wasn't something like you were looking to take on, but you definitely wanted the store to be here.
Initially, when Matt took over, the plan was that I would manage the store, and he would own it, and he would pop in from time to time, because 3 things happened in rapid succession after he bought the store. He got his leg squished by a truck.
We recorded the first time we met and recorded was like not that long after that.
He was helping the UPS guy bring the new books, and a car backed up without looking and crushed his leg in between the car and the UPS truck, and he was very, very injured. For a week or 2, he couldn't even get here. He couldn't get up the stairs. As you know, we are upstairs. So he hurt his leg, and that really threw him off his game, because nobody wants to feel disabled. Basically,
Right.
He was basically disabled for weeks and weeks. And then his wife got pregnant unexpectedly, and then he bought a house, and all this happened inside of 5 or 6 months. So it's a lot. So new store owner,
Injury.
busted leg, baby on the way, bought a house. So I think those other things took away from him focusing on the store like he wanted to. So he was never able to get the store financially where he needed it to be able to pay me to be here to manage the store. That's just the reality of what happened. So I get the text. I sent it to Elon, and I sent it to Scott, and I sent it to you. I don't know why I sent it to you. I just had to. I was like, Anthony needs to know this.
Did you think I was going to be like, we'll do a Kickstarter to save the story?
I don't know. My gut told me, Anthony's got to hear about this. Because I felt like you must have felt when Steve dropped the bomb. So
Yeah.
I all of a sudden was like, I know somebody who can relate to this. And I sent it to you. So you got back to me like, oh my God, that's terrible. Elon hit me up and said, look, how much is he asking when he wanted to sell it? I can come up with X amount of money. If you can come up with this other amount of money, maybe we could buy it and we'll own it. I'll have it back. And, I'm in Seattle, but you'll be there and whatever. We'll team up. And then Scott was kicking around ideas. So I got home that night from the gig, and I talked to Nicole, my wonderful girlfriend. And I said, look, this is what's happening. I've got one shot. I got an idea of how to take over this store. Am I crazy? Is this stupid? And she said, "Oh, it's absolutely crazy, and you should absolutely do it." And I said, and she's much smarter than me. She's much more pragmatic. She's the grown up, And I was like, "Well, what are your thoughts?" She goes, "Look, if you take it over and it fails, blame it on Matt. Just scapegoat. Just be like, he ruined it. I couldn't even save that thing. It was, And she goes, if you take it over and it's successful, boom, you got a comic shop. You got an empire. You got a thing you can build upon. You've got a legacy. You've got, you're the hero who saved the store." And she goes, and if you don't take it over, if you don't try, you're always going to wonder. You're going to regret, like, could I have done something with that? Why did I let that slip away? Like, that could, and she was absolutely correct. And then, and this is why I love her so much. And she said, and on top of all that, she said, maybe it's time you took on a little more responsibility in your life. She goes, I was doing literally 10 hours here a week, 20 at the pizzeria, and then whatever gigs. She's like, maybe it's time you learn what it is to have to get up and go every day and do the grind and do the, she's like, maybe it's time, you're 47 years old. Maybe it's time to take a bigger bite of the apple, and see what you can do.
Still the freshest faced comic shop retailer in the Garden State.
Me?
Yeah.
The drinking helps. So, but no, she, and I said to her, okay, you're on board with this. I said, it's going to be rough. I'm going to be there a lot. I'm going to be tired. I'm going to be broke for a bit until I figure this out. And she's like, no, you should absolutely go for it. And I said, okay, I'm so glad you're on board. I need some money from you. Because Matt said flat out, I was like, I don't even have the money for this week's books. The books are coming in Tuesday. I got to turn them away. I don't have the money right now. So I said, if you're really that on board, I'm going to need a check. And God bless her, man. She's like, all right. She goes, look, this is me showing you I believe that you can do this. And I was able to get the books. And I talked to Scott, and we figured out a few things financially. And he helped me come up with a way to take over the store, basically.
Right. And Elon is not involved.
What happened with Elon was, I said, Elon, I think we can do this. And he goes, great. Give me your diamond password and I'll start doing the order form. And I said, dude, I got to do the order form. I'm boots on the ground here. You're 3,000 miles away with a 3-hour time difference. Most of my current customers you haven't even met because they're new over the past 5 years or so. And he's like, no, I'll do the ordering and then, we'll just talk every day and we'll figure it out. And I was like, no. I need to run it. I need to jump in head first. I can do this. I'm going to need your advice. I'm going to need, I'll be calling you in a panic from time to time. And I was able to work it out where I did it without Elon. And he was upset at first, because he's been thinking of moving back to Jersey. He's like, well, if I move back, I've got a store and we can run it together. I was like, well, I said, if and when you move back, we can absolutely talk about that. But to have you co-own it is great. But to have you try to run it from Seattle, it's impossible.
Well, he's still running his other store as well.
Right. Plus that. But the main thing is you have to be here. You got to know the people, and Elon's great. He's been doing it forever and he's great at it, but not from across the country. I just didn't see a way that would work.
Right.
So I just spoke with him the other day. He's coming to visit soon. And I said, come by the store. We'll get some pizza. We'll hang out. I'll invite all the regulars who know you and we'll have a little shindig. But so I was able to take it on. I borrowed a little bit of money, and I have a silent partner who wishes to remain just that. I spoke with him and said, would you like me to give you, the respect you're due? Because without my silent partner, this would not be a thing at all. And he said, which part of silent partner are you not understanding? Because I don't want to be named. He's like, I'm just here to help.
Well, if there were anyone, better suited to be the name and voice and face of Fat Moose,
I guess
it's you.
Ironically, I've lost weight. I mean, I was never fat to begin with. That name was Elon's nickname when he was a hockey player back in the day. Right. But I keep forgetting to eat. So I've actually dropped weight. And people are like, well, you got to live up to the name Fat Moose. I'm like, we might have to rename it.
Leave it. It can stay an ironic name.
Exactly.
That's fine.
But yeah, so that's a long rambling story. But as I talked to Matt like the next day, I said, tell this guy who's coming in to give you an offer on bulk, tell him stay home. I was like, I got this idea, and we sat down and we worked it out. And he was happy. He said, look, I don't want to close the store. I don't want the store to go away. I just don't want to deal with it anymore. He said, so whatever I can do to make it your store, by all means. And Matt has been great as far as helping me make the transition into owner. Like there were bumps, a lot of bumps along the way as far as the the first week of being the owner, the week of January 1st, was an absolute nightmare.
I mean, I saw you posting about it, boy, and my heart went out to you, you know.
Everything that could go wrong went wrong. The day we were meeting here to sign the contract, and that's the other good thing, is all of my customers have been so supportive. One of my customers is a lawyer. He's been a box holder for a long, long time. I called him up and I'm like, hey, Matt wants out. I want in. How quickly can you draw up a contract? He said, give me 2 days. Pro bono.
Oh, very nice.
Pro bono. Like, when does that even happen? So he drew up the contract. He said to me over the phone, he's like, well, look, the business isn't doing well. What are you going to do to save this? Why do you want this business? What are you going to do? And I laid out like a 6-point plan. And he goes, oh, crap. Okay. Yeah, you got a plan. You could do this. He's like, all right, I'm going to help you do this. So we met here. We were meeting here to sign the contract. Me and Matt, my silent partner, my mom and my stepfather, because they were like over the moon, like, oh my God, he's growing up. He's going to take on responsibility. So they're like, let's go. We got a bottle of champagne. We're going to meet here to sign the contract, to have a little party. I get here early. The power's turned off. Because JCP&L didn't transfer the account to me. They just cut it off. They're like, oh, this guy's out of here. We're cutting off. No power. So we met at the pizzeria next door and had champagne and signed it there and everything. And then the first Wednesday, so I had to go the next day to 8 a.m. I had to go to Morristown to haggle with JCP&L to get the power back on. They're like, oh, it'll be on sometime today or maybe tomorrow. I'm like, no, I need it now. It's cold out. I don't have lights. I don't have heat. I need to get the books ready. Finally, around 4 p.m. that day, they turned the power on. And I cried a little because I was so happy because I was in here and I'm losing daylight and I'm freezing and I'm trying to get the books processed. I can't turn on the computer to do the polls. I can't do anything. My cell phone's dying. I couldn't charge it. It's just like a nightmare. I said, when the sun goes down, I have to leave. And if I come in tomorrow and there's still no power, what can I do? I can't access the register or anything. Luckily, they turned the power on. So now Wednesday comes and I get up. I'm like, it's my first new comic book day as owner. And I turn the key and the car won't start. I said, thank you, universe. Thankfully, my girlfriend works from home on Wednesday. She goes, take my car, go. She goes, we'll figure it out. So I get here, get everything on, the lights on, everything's ready to go. I call AAA to go get my car to bring it to my mechanic. While I'm on the phone with AAA, the power cuts out again. And I'm like, no. I paid the bill. I paid it. I go outside, power's out, and a transformer blew. Oh, the whole block is out. I'm like, this is the universe just telling me something. Power finally came back on like 2 hours later. Thank God. What else happened? Oh, then like a week after that, I look at the invoice to see how much money I need for the COD, for the delivery. And the invoice is like $400 as opposed to usually around $1,400,
So you don't pay in advance. You pay.
I don't want to get behind. So a lot of stores are doing that now. Instead of owing money to Diamond, it's just COD. So you get a bank check or a money order. I open the invoice and it's like nothing. And I look and there's nothing, no books. So I called back. I'm like, what's going on? He's like, oh, well, I thought I was going to close. I didn't think you were taking over the store. So I canceled everything.
And didn't think to...
Forgot to tell me.
You.
Yeah,
Okay.
I guess, he was dealing with his own stuff. So that 1 week I had no new books come in. I had to make a Facebook video, as you saw, just explaining what happened. And, so it's in the first week or so. Oh, and then the phone, I called Scott from the store phone just to say hey and tell him how it's going. He goes, where are you calling from? I said, the store. He goes, it's a different number. The phone company, when they switched the account, changed my phone number. So I called them. I'm like, wait, hey, we've had the same phone number since 82. It's on all our stuff. Like, you can't. So I had to deal with them and to get the phone number back, and that cost me a little bit of money. So it was just like every single thing. And I would go home like in tears and sit down with my girlfriend and be like, I think I've made a terrible mistake. I think the universe is telling me you made a bad call. She goes, no, this is the universe going, how bad do you want this? Like, we're going to throw everything at you.
She sounds like a wonderful person to have in your corner.
Smartest person I know. Except for the fact that she's in love with me. I mean, that's her one blind spot, is she puts up with this crap.
I mean, that's a lot to contend with.
Nah.
I mean, keeping in mind the fact that this all happened, so quickly, and you weren't, this, wasn't something you were planning on. And
not at all.
The fact that it happened and unfolded the way that it did, not to stir the pot, but I'm just curious, like, did you feel any sort of way over the fact that Matt didn't come to you first
Oh,
do you want to work out a way to take over?
Well, we had a conversation about that. And I said, why didn't you sit me down and just say, look, I really want out? Because he always talked about it, just like Steve did. And I was always like, where's he going to go? What's he going to, this is his thing. Excuse me. So I said, Matt, why didn't you sit me down and have a heart-to-heart and tell me, look, I really want out. Is there anything you can do? And he said, because I couldn't conceive of a way that you could take it over. He goes, I know you're kind of broke and, he was like, I just didn't really see a way that you could do it. And I said, well, that was your biggest mistake. You underestimated me. I was like, don't ever, because when my back's against the wall, I still don't know how I did it. It still feels unreal. I still feel like somebody's going to go, we're just kidding. It's not really yours. Like, oh, you forgot to sign a certain piece of paperwork or something didn't quite process. And like, no, it's not your store. It still really feels surreal to me,
Well, look, when your back is up against the wall, the only thing to do is move forward.
I had no choice. I could not let this go. I couldn't. It means too much to too many people, myself obviously included.
Yeah, and I mean for you, so I mean, is it fair to say, I mean, it wasn't even really a financial thing because I mean, you were only working a couple of days anyway, right? I mean, this was really more driven by like the personal desire to keep the community going.
I didn't have to take over this store. I chose to. I could have easily, that 10 hours a week I worked here, I could have just added 10 hours a week to my pizza schedule or whatever, it was purely, a labor of love. It was, and it's funny, my first Saturday as owner, this family comes in, they've been coming in for years, and the kid, Ben, he's 15, super nice kid, super shy, quiet kid. And they came in like, congratulations, holy crap. And he took me aside. He's like, can I talk to you? I said, yeah, what's up? Because I just want to tell you, thank you so much. I heard the store was going to close because Matt had kind of let it leak over a week or two to certain customers that he was going to close. And like, it just kind of got out there in the ether. And so Ben says to me, I just want to tell you, thank you so much. I've been shopping here as long as I can remember. The store means a lot to me. And I know you didn't have to do this, but you're taking on a lot of responsibility. He goes, I just want to tell you, you're kind of my hero. Oh. And I immediately welled up with tears because I was so tired and so overwhelmed with everything. I'm getting glassy now just talking about it. But I was like, thank you, man. I was like, I swear to God, Ben, if you make me cry in my store, you're banned for life. I was like, stop talking to me. Go buy some comics. Get the hell out of my face because you're making me emotional,
No, I mean, I get it. It's like with these undertakings, like, I mean, again, I can identify from, my own experience, like with the podcast, but the documentaries in particular, it's like there's such massive undertakings. And, sometimes it can just be something as small as, someone saying a nice thing about it. And it makes you feel, like it's, I mean, it's worthwhile in and of itself, but, that really can make a big difference when you hear something like that.
Yeah, the validation. It's amazing. I always consider myself to be pretty cynical and world weary and whatnot, but it's really, everybody's been so
kind of like renewed your spirit a bit.
Yeah, so supportive, and people have just randomly been coming in like with food and be like, here, you probably didn't eat today, here's some food. I'm like, I didn't eat today. Oh, thank you. People have been bringing me alcohol, which I have like a fully stocked bar under the counter now because people are like, oh, congratulations. And the 1 week within the second week when no books came in, one of my regulars came in with a nice bottle of scotch and he's like, oh man, congratulations. Yeah, this is to celebrate. And I was like, oh yeah, we didn't get any new books this week. There was a snafu. He goes, okay, this is for the pain.
I want to ask about this. I mean, the fact that you didn't have a new product that entire first week, when did you
Not the first week. It was like the third week, I suppose.
Oh.
Mid-January, yeah.
And when were you able to get replacement books?
Like 2 weeks later. And there were still books that had sold out. I literally went on my day off to about 3 or 4 other stores just to try and get the stuff that my customers were missing. And some of the stores, sold me stuff at cost to be very nice, like congratulations, welcome to hell,
Yeah,
here you go.
That's nice.
And a few stores I don't have a relationship with. I just paid cover price. I don't care. So I wasn't going to make a profit on that, but I need to make the customers happy. And everybody was really understanding. They said, look, we understand you came in hot. You came in unexpectedly. You came in broke. It was, Christmas time. I spent my savings on Christmas gifts. I came in with nothing. And they said, we can deal with the books being 2 weeks late because other than that, there would be no store if you didn't step up. So we're willing to be with you through the bumps in the road because otherwise this place wouldn't be here at all. So a couple of them were breaking my balls about it. Like, what do you mean? Oh, I guess I'll just go to Zap or Funny Books. And I'm like,
did they go other places, or they like to get that week's books, or
No.
Nope. That. Yeah, I mean, the story you just shared about the family and that wonderful comment, I mean, that was very nice, but that really warms my heart that people were understanding of, I mean, because, right, like that's
renewed my faith in humanity, man.
Because like that's the thing when we talk about, and it's a big part of the documentary, and we've talked about it so many times, like, when retailers complain about, late books, missing books, damaged books, right? The fear is that if you don't have something out on your shelf, the customer, the collector who wants it that day, that week, isn't going to give you the courtesy of giving you that time to get a replacement. They're going to go somewhere else. And so there's that sale that you've lost out on. And then there's always the risk they might not come back.
Yeah.
So the fact that they were patient with you through that is extremely heartwarming.
Yeah, it's funny because I told you Matt had let it slip to a few customers that he was going to close. So my one customer, Jeff, he's been a box holder forever. The day Matt told him we're closing, now I didn't even know this yet, but he told Jeff. Jeff went to Funny Books in Lake Hiawatha. Hi, Steve. Steve's a good dude. And he opened a box there. He said, Fat Moose is closing. I'm going to open a pull box here. So he gave him the titles that he wanted, and I'm sure Steve was like, "Ooh, they're closing. Yeah, woohoo! I can get some of their people, And then, like the next day, Matt called Jeff and said, "Oh, Shawn's taking over the store. We're not closing." He went the next Wednesday back to Funny Books. He bought what was in his box because he had signed up for it, and he said, "I'm closing my box because Moose is staying open. Shawn's taking it over." So, but he bought those, and then he came here and bought the same books twice, the ones that were in his box here.
Wow.
Because he's an honorable guy. Like he said, like, I didn't want to screw Funny Books, so I bought those, and now I don't want to screw you, so I'm here. And he bought the same books twice. But that's like, those are the kind of guys that shop here. These real stand-up dudes. Like I said, my one customer's a lawyer, drew up the contract for free. Like another one of my customers is a graphic designer. He did some work for flyers and things. Like it's just everybody's really. It's been amazing. It really has.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So I mean, I know there have been challenges as you've stepped into this. I mean, I think to run any kind of small business and to step into it the way that you did, would be challenging. And then when you add on top of that the specific challenges that are inherent in a comic shop, and I want to talk about ordering in a moment.
Oh Lord!
But on the positive side, and I mean, I think we already have our answer. I mean, is it fair to say like that this existing clientele, this customer base that you have this rapport with, I mean, is that the store's biggest asset coming into this as owner?
Oh yeah, if we didn't have this group of people, I wouldn't have taken on this responsibility. I'm doing it for them.
So noble.
Well, I wouldn't say noble. It's selfish too because I love hanging out with them.
Right. And as we've seen, when you don't have this place, right, to go, even though if the intention is there, like, oh, we'll still hang out, doesn't always happen.
I thought about it. I thought about every one of my regular customers and thought, wow, when would I ever see this person again? We're not going to go meet up at a restaurant. We're not going to...
Like, how many customers, like, when we talk about, like, that real, like, the dedicated, that Wednesday group in particular, like, roughly, what kind of number are we talking about?
Throughout the entire day, or, like, my after-work crowd that hangs out? I mean...
Oh, well, that after-work crowd in particular.
On a good Wednesday, if nobody's got anywhere to be, any responsibilities, I'll have 9, 10, 12 guys just hanging out, chit-chatting, broken off into separate little groups. These 3 guys are talking about James Bond. These 2 are talking about Doctor Who.
Yeah.
I have a new box holder, and he was only coming in on the weekends with his family. And I was like, oh, you got to come by on a Wednesday and meet everybody. And he finally did. And he's like, holy crap, I've never seen this many people in the store. I was like, well, yeah. That's the destination. People come in, they want their books, but then they hang out, and everybody knows each other.
Yeah.
And it's all demographics: men, women, young, old, blue collar, white collar. It's just, and it's amazing that the commonality is the passion for this stuff. And to quote Lex Luthor from your favorite movie. I love bringing people together. But I really do love when I see like these two or three people who would never interact out there coming together and talking about something that they're passionate about, even if they disagree on it. Just to watch the interactions, it's fascinating.
Yeah.
It's almost like a social experiment.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
Yeah. You
no,
get it.
Yeah, no, for sure. So, I mean, I was going to ask, like, what was the reaction among the customers? So, I mean, we've definitely already covered that. I mean, have you seen customers come back who you hadn't seen in a while, and or any influx of new customers?
Both. I've seen customers who have come, not left and then come back, but who are here more often now. I'm trying to be diplomatic. Matt, towards the end of it, was just not into it. And it's obvious. When the enthusiasm's not there, and
right.
the customers could tell. They'd come in and be like, oh, Matt was in a bad mood, or Matt wasn't engaged, or, whatever. Matt didn't have the books I was looking for, and so they would actually come in when I was here or Justin was here, because they're like, oh, those guys are still happy-go-lucky, because I didn't own the store, so I didn't have a care in the world. So those customers are now coming back more often, because like, oh, wait, so I don't have to just make sure I come in on a Wednesday when you're here. I could come in on a Sunday afternoon and you'll be here. I was like, yeah.
Right.
For now, we're still closed on Mondays, but the rest of the time, if that open sign is on, I'm here. And so those customers have been like, oh, this is great, because now I can just roll up whenever, and you're going to be here, and I don't have to worry about coming into an environment that may be a little less welcoming or whatever. And that's not a shot towards Matt
right.
or anything. He just didn't want to do it anymore. And, that happens as you live, experience for yourself. Steve just one day was like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah, and I mean, we had talked about, kind of Elon towards the end. His mind was elsewhere,
Mm-hmm.
and talking about Matt, and yeah, I mean, I saw it with Steve. Like he was still obviously present, but as far as, just as an example, like he wasn't reading the product. I mean, he knew whatever he could glean from solicitations, but it's not like, again, he wasn't really plugged in, and he definitely wasn't enthusiastic about it. And I wonder now, so like you've seen a couple of prior owners of this store go through that. Do you think, hopefully this day never comes, but if you got to the point where you didn't have the enthusiasm and you were kind of checking out, do you think you'd be able to recognize that in yourself?
I don't. Everybody, not everybody, but a good portion of people are like, oh, once you make the thing you love, your job, you're going to hate it. And, oh, you're going to lose your love of comics. And and I say, I will take that challenge, because I've been a musician for 36 years. I'm 47 years old. I've been playing music 36 years, and I do it for a living. It's crappy living, but, I do it for pay. I play music for money, and I still listen to music on my off time, and I'm driving in my car, I'm still, it's not like, oh, I do music for money, so now I don't enjoy music.
Right.
Same with comics. I'll be here all day on a Tuesday, and then I go home with a stack of comics that I want to read. My favorite thing, Monday is my one day off. My favorite thing on a Monday night, do the housework, anything I got to do, whatever. And then I sit on the couch. Nicole sits on the one couch with the TV. I sit on the love seat with a stack of comics, glass of bourbon, and I just fall in. I fall into the comic. I don't think that anything can change that. I've been a comic book guy forever, and I never even took a break. The typical story is, oh, once I hit puberty, I discovered girls and cars and drugs, and I discovered all of that stuff, trust me. But I never stopped reading comics.
And not at the expense of comics.
Yeah, it was always still a part of my thing. That's my one pure, true escape. And if anything, I'm kind of digging it more now, because I'm in charge. I get to order stuff. And, there were certain books that I'd say, hey, Matt, why don't you get like a half dozen of these? It looks pretty interesting, and a lot of times he wouldn't. Be like, I don't know what that is. And now I can allocate the budget and be like, well, do I need this statue that somebody may or may not buy, or do I take that money and try out this new title, this new Aftershock, or this new book, this new Image title? And I did my first previews order in January, the first one I did by myself. And now those books are coming in for March. And some of those more esoteric books are coming in, and I'm selling them. People are buying them. And I'm saying, like, check this one out. This is kind of cool. I read this last night. It's about this, this, and that. And, not all of my customers want straight up superhero stuff. Some guys want just the superhero stuff. Some want just the weird crap. And a lot of guys are in between. Like, hey, for every Superman comic I read, I like to read something like East of West. That's a little bit out there. So that's the main thing. I don't care as much about high-end statues because you get a $275 statue in. It may sit here for months and months and months and months. That's money I could have put towards a book that's going to sell that week.
Right.
And that if somebody likes that book, add that to my pull list. Now that's a guaranteed sale every month when that book comes in. That's what I want to focus on.
Gotcha. Is the, again, for as much as I have seen previews and I've heard retailers talk about it, I've never done an order.
It's a nightmare.
Is it as bad as everyone says?
It absolutely is.
How long did it take? I mean, I'm sure you'll get faster as you go, but I mean, how long did it take you to do that first one?
Well, the trick was like Scott, I don't know how Elon ordered, but Scott and Matt would always wait till like literally the last minute. You have to have your previews order in by midnight that Thursday, you know, as it turns to Friday. And they'd start like Thursday afternoon. And I was like, well, then you're just going to cram it in and you start to glaze over like, oh man, I don't even care anymore. So the goal was start early. Do a little at a time. Take a slow Tuesday and be like, all right, before the UPS guy gets here, let me bang out the Marvel section. And, you just do it that way. Unfortunately, things get in the way, and then next thing you know, it's Thursday, and you're like, crap, I've got 5 hours before I got to get this thing in. But we use a point-of-sale system, the comic suite through Diamond, and that auto-populates the numbers, shows you, all right, Batman number whatever, here's what you ordered on the previous 3 months. And so it's easy enough to be like, okay, just get the same. Just do that, do that, do that. But then you're screwing yourself. Because let's say something like Batman suddenly is hot again now because of this punchline character. You got to up your numbers on that, which means maybe cut the numbers on something else because, you want to stay within a budget. The new Star Wars books are selling out, so I got to up the numbers on that. The X-Men stuff started hot, cooled off, it's hot again. Got to up the numbers on that. So you literally think of every single thing you're ordering. You get up, you run to the shelf, see how many are left, try to adjust that number. And then you get stuff like variant covers and the 1 in 25s and Dynamite with, Red Sonja. It's got 8 covers and like, oh, Christ. It really is as meticulous as, and you don't have to. You could just be like, enough of these and some of those and some of that. But I'm trying to improve that kind of stuff. Like I said, by ordering the weirder books and the things people might not even know they're going to enjoy until I stick it into their hands.
So like with that kind of stuff in particular, it's just something that you have, about it. These are things you've read or at least you've read about and you think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Things, I read the solicitation. It takes forever. And a lot of times the solicitation doesn't tell you anything.
Right. But these aren't particularly things that folks have been asking about, but you think they would like it and you plan to, and we've seen you in action doing this, like in the documentary, like you'll make those recommendations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll even say, take this, buy it. If you don't like it, bring it back next week. As long as it's not, stained or, damaged in any way, I'll give you store credit towards something else. I've never had a single book come back to me because I know my people. I know what they dig. I'm not bragging. It's years and years of doing this. I started working, at Pegasus Enterprises back in the 90s and worked for Pat for years. He was my comic book Yoda. He taught me, how to do this. And I'm into it. I love the product. I love the genre, not the genre. What am I talking about?
The medium of
the
comics?
medium. Thank you, sir. It's been a long day.
That's now recording all these episodes.
Hold on. I'm going to drink more Red Bull. Don't tell my girlfriend. She hates when I drink these.
But no, that's great. I mean, we're recording this, that first order that you've done hasn't come out yet, but it will by the time this episode airs.
Yeah.
So, hopefully everything
March.
goes well.
March is my ordering, my numbers.
That must have been an exciting moment when you place your first order and now you start to see the results of your efforts coming in.
I mean, I've got a lot to learn. There's always going to be mistakes. It's, I'm a human being like anybody else. So it's always going to be like, crap, I should have got more of those, or I should have got maybe a couple, less of those or whatever. But I'm learning. And I thought it was as tedious as it is also, it's a weird kind of fun. It's a weird kind of like, all right, let me try out this book. Well, how many? All right, I know these 3 guys like Jeff Lemire, and it's a new Jeff Lemire book. All right, so they're definitely going to want it, but maybe I'll get 3 for the shelf. No. 2 for the shelf. Oh no, 4, and then 2 of the variants, and like it's time consuming. But I actually do enjoy it more than I thought I would. I thought I would dread it. And there are moments of like, oh, F you, Marvel, like, or DC with these 80th anniversary specials they're doing with 8 variant covers and they're $10 a piece, and so there are moments where you're like, all right, I'm gonna take 10 minutes. I'm gonna have a cocktail. I'll come back to this. I need to like walk around the store for a minute and clear my head, and I'll come back to it. But I do actually, in an odd way, maybe a masochistic way, I enjoy it.
At Alternate Realities, overstock was an issue. There were a number of things that, we've talked about this, but, things that Steve thought would be a big hit. Sometimes it went the other way, of course, where, especially because he wasn't reading the books, like if, like you use the, punchline in Batman as an example, but like years ago, like things, I remember when, Mark Miller and Steve McNiven, who had just done Civil War, like they were coming on to Wolverine for the Old Man Logan, and he just ordered it the way he would an ordinary issue of Wolverine, and we were like, no, like this is going to be a big thing. People are going to want it. So that would happen sometimes, but more often than not, we overstock was an issue. Has that been a problem with what had been going on before with the ordering? Like, did you find that you were, or was it more the other problem that stuff was going too fast?
It was both, actually.
Yeah.
I think part of it was Matt would over order on the stuff that he liked,
right?
Assuming that, and that's a common thing.
Yep.
Like, oh man, I love Star Trek, so everybody should love Star Trek. Let me order heavy on the Star Trek. And
now,
then
when he would do that, though, I mean, would he then recommend that to people, or it would just be on the shelf and he hoped people would gravitate toward it?
I don't know, because it was rare that we were both here at the same time.
Gotcha.
Like, I'd come in and maybe he'd be here for an hour with me.
Right.
But I don't know how he did his job. Like, I don't know what his interactions were with the customers. I wasn't here to observe it.
Yeah, no, I just asked because I feel like it's just an interesting aspect of this, because generally, yeah, I would say if you're coming at this as a fan first and ordering according to your tastes and not what there's an appetite for among your customer base, that I think is a recipe for disaster. But I mean, if it is something where it's like you're going to give this a great display and you're going to push it and you're really going to recommend it, okay, like that's something else. But if it's more of a passive thing and you're just ordering based on your own likes and dislikes, very challenging.
It's tough. I mean, that's part of being a human being and a collector. Like, the stuff you dig, you think everybody should dig. And
right.
I've been trying to champion the book Kaiju Max for a while now. He's on like season 3. He's doing it in like, I think 12-issue arcs. And it's a Supermax prison for giant monsters of all sorts, everything from giant robots to slime monsters to Godzilla types. And it's a great, great book. I can't get anybody interested in it. And one of my regular customers is a corrections officer. And I was like, hey, check this out. Mike, it deals with like the prison thing, and it's a prison for monsters. And he goes, dude, I do it for a living. Why do I want to get out of work and then read a book about, a prison when I work in a prison? I'm like, fair enough, But yeah, there are books that I love that I literally get one of them per month because I'm the only guy reading it.
Right.
But I do try to champion the stuff that I love, but I also understand. I've tried to sell Kaiju Max. Nobody's buying it, so I order one per month, and it's mine, and I take it home.
I mean, you don't have to reveal any trade secrets or anything, but like, a big seller here. Like, what's like something that you order a lot of? Like, what type of quantity are we talking?
The biggest sellers are probably Batman, Amazing Spider-Man. The Star Wars books are doing well. All the new X-Men stuff is doing really well, and that's all stuff I had to increase the numbers.
Right.
Because Matt was ordering very low numbers on that, because he's like, hey, if somebody comes in on Thursday and it's sold out on Wednesday, you should have been here Wednesday. And I'm like, yeah, but not everybody can get here Wednesday. And so the trick is, as have enough for everybody. And, if it sells out after a week or two, then it's like, well, it came out 2 weeks ago, it's gone. But you don't want to sell out on a Wednesday.
But like, are these books you're ordering in the triple digits?
Triple digits?
No.
Are you out of your mind?
100 copies? No.
100 copies? What the hell am I going to do with 100 copies of anything? But no, I mean, we're a small store. But I think that probably, let me think, the highest number I would order on any given title would be like 50 copies.
Gotcha.
For something like Batman or whatever. Yeah. And I wonder, like Midtown Comic, every Tuesday, I think like, how many did they get? Like, how many copies of, Amazing Spider-Man does like a Midtown, is there an entire diamond box and it's just Amazing Spider-Man? It's like,
I mean, honestly, like given what they do with their online business, I mean, they're like almost a quasi distributor at this point.
Yeah.
So, don't compare to them.
no, I can't possibly, I mean, I'm as small gets, but I'm working on it, aggressive expansion.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying, you should be ordering on, like order what, you can sell. But, we were talking off mic about our mutual friend, Rich Roney.
Rich Roney.
Friendship and Fun.
Friendship
and
and
I know,
fun.
he expressed this to you and, and he's voiced this in the past of, when he used to shop here under the previous regime, and he would come on a Wednesday after work and, the store would be sold out of, some of that week's
7 or 8 titles. Yeah.
So that's, the fact that you're addressing that, I think is smart.
Well, it's not easy, but you have to have the damn books, and you have to have supplies, bags, boards, boxes, which that's a struggle because the place I get them from is in Piscataway, and they don't deliver, and I'm only off on Mondays. And then I find myself doing things like this on a Monday.
Sorry.
No, not believe me. I'd much rather hang out with you and do a podcast than drive to Piscataway to get supplies.
Well, hopefully, I mean, I'm sure many of the people who will be listening to this episode in particular will be Fat Moose folks who you direct to it. But I don't know. Maybe we'll have some, some of our regular listeners who maybe they haven't been here before, and if they're local enough, they'll come check it out. I mean, hopefully they do.
Please do. But yeah, speaking, like we did before about the customers being really supportive, as far as bringing me food and stuff, one of my customers last week, Tom, awesome guy, he was in and I was bemoaning that I ran out of register tape, receipt paper. And I was like, I just haven't had a chance to get to Staples. He texted me that night. He's like, hey, man, I'm at Staples.
Aww.
What do you need, And he said something like, don't you need printer ink too? I'm like, yeah, I do. And so I gave him the printer product name, whatever. And he came back to me. He's like, all right, well, I got you the thing of register tape. I'll bring it by Sunday, the next day. And he goes, I looked at ink and it's too expensive here, but I found, here's a link to Amazon where it's cheaper for the ink for that printer. Like just stuff like that. And he came in on Sunday and he gave me the register tape. I was like, what do I owe you? He goes, I don't know, give me store credit towards my books Wednesday or whatever. And just little things like that. My one customer, Mikey Pops, came in 2 Wednesdays ago. He's a big James Bond fan. And he brought in this tactical portable bartender kit. Like it looks like one of those big armored like briefcases. And he pops it open and he made martinis for everybody. The James Bond signature Vesper martini with the twist of lime and everything. Just the 1 week, a Wednesday, a pizza guy shows up with 2 pies and a 2-liter of soda. I'm like, I didn't order anything. And Gene, my customer, goes, oh, I did. He's like, I figured you'd be hungry and we'd all be here. So we had a little impromptu pizza party. Just like it's crazy. And it makes me embarrassed almost that everybody's like looking out for me like that. Like I totally appreciate it. It's unexpected and it's always appreciated. It's crazy.
Honestly, like that's really wonderful to hear. And it's, well, again, like when, AR closed and like everyone came, like, people came to help.
Yeah. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention Justin, who brings me Red Bulls.
Yes.
Against my girlfriend's wishes. She said, I'm going to tell Justin, stop bringing you Red Bulls. I'm like, yeah, Justin, just keep bringing me Red Bulls.
No, but like honestly, like that response from the customers, that speaks to, the admiration they have for you and the relationship you've cultivated. And it speaks to, how much this place means to them and the lengths they're willing to go to make sure that it sticks around. I mean, that really says a lot.
Yeah, they actually, my one customer, Nick, it was his birthday today, but I was on Facebook last night at like 2 a.m., so I wished him a happy birthday, and I saw the comment today. He's like, oh, thanks. He goes, but what the hell are you doing up that late? It's like, yeah, you're right. Like they're genuinely concerned, like,
right.
Like genuine, like, just get some sleep, make sure you have a hot meal, like, what the hell's wrong with you? Maybe it's just a selfish thing on their part. Like, well, if Shawn dies, there's no more store. We got to keep this guy alive a little longer.
I'm sure it's it's a combination. But, to have that level of investment and commitment from however large that particular group of people is a wonderful, basis, to expand upon. And so I guess that's kind of leads me to, the last major area that I wanted to talk to you about in this episode is, like what you have planned for the store. I mean, I know we're only a few months into the new year and you were thrown into this and, you had a lot of those initial struggles with the bills and the shipment and all that stuff. Thankfully, that seems to, be ironed out.
Yeah, I think I covered all of those bases. I put out all the tiny dumpster fires.
Right. And so like now you're starting to do the orders. You're going to start to see that come in. I saw you did a lot of rearranging the portion of the store that's right where we're recording. The way you rearrange the racks, it really opened it up.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's very bright and spacious now, more so than it had been before.
It's funny because my first week here, I was pricing some things, and it took me a minute to realize, oh, I'm the boss. Like I was pricing something. I was like, oh man, I wonder what Matt wants this to. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. There is no Matt. There's only Zool. Let me tell you a very brief story of one more test from the universe.
Sure.
It was my first Saturday as owner. That Friday night, I'm cleaning things. I'm dusting. I'm cleaning the statue cases and stuff. And we had this beautiful, big, I don't know, had to be 1.5 feet tall Batman statue made by Tweeterhead. The blue and the gray, Neil Adams looking, kind of perched on a rooftop. Gorgeous. Matt had gotten it for the store. It was $275. It had been here for a couple of months. And I'm looking at it. And I'm like, I should take that home. I'm a big Batman guy. I got my whole bat shrine. It's like, you know what? As a congratulations to me, to jumping in head first, to taking this all on, I should take that home. That should be the one piece that I congratulate myself with. And I was like, you know what? Just leave it. Leave it. The next day, that Saturday, a guy comes in, he's looking around with his wife, and he leaves without buying anything. Calls the store. Say, I was just at your store. I've, purchased a lot of statues from you in the past and everything, and congratulations, I heard you're the new owner. So I was looking at that Batman statue. He goes, is there any wiggle room on that, price-wise? And I said, it's funny you should mention that. I almost brought that home last night. Like that, I was going to reward myself with that statue. He goes, oh, so it's not for sale? I'm like, no. It's for sale. And he goes, okay, what can you do price-wise? And I had the literal, the angel and the devil pop up. The angel's like, oh, make him a deal, sell the statue. And the devil's like, that's your statue. Take it home. You deserve that statue. And so then I had the middle ground of like, don't wiggle on the price. And if he buys it, great, you sold it. And if he doesn't, take it home. It's yours. And I said, no. I said, you bring me X amount cash and it's yours. He goes, all right, let me call you back in a half hour. I got to run it by the wife. Calls me back. He's like, all right, I want it. He goes, I can't get there till Tuesday. It's Saturday. I can't be there till Tuesday. Can you box it up, please? Get it off the sales floor, And I said, dude, I'm not going to sell it out from under you. He's like, I know. I would just feel better if you box it up. I'm like, all right. So I had to break it down into 3 pieces and box it up. And I always get nervous, like, don't break this. Like, don't snap the ear off. Or don't snap. I used to hate. Yeah, it's the worst thing is reboxing a statue is a nightmare.
Yeah. I mean, checking them when they initially came in, that was similarly challenging because you have to take it out to inspect it and get it. But especially when, and at least the customer wasn't here when you did it.
Yeah.
Because that would stress me out too. Like when someone wanted a statue, like watching you. There were a couple times where I said, would you like to?
Yeah, you do it yourself. Pay me first and then you do it.
Oh, I used to hate
so
that.
I had my customer, Dan, was here and I'm like, help me do this. Because it was a big piece. But I couldn't separate the feet from the base. And I'm like trying to wiggle it. I'm like, oh God, help me if I break this thing. Anyway, I got it in the box. I put it under the table. He came in on Sunday. I was like, what are you doing here? I thought you weren't coming until Tuesday. He's like, thank God I boxed it up that day, Because he would have come in like, I thought I asked you to do that. So he's like, I can't wait. I just had to get it today. So he gave me the cash. He took the statue. I was like, you got to do me one favor. When you get home and you get it in your display with all your statues, send me a picture. I want to see what he looks like out in the wild in his forever home, And he did me one better. He took pictures. He put them on Facebook. Gave me a 5-star review and said, oh, congratulations to Shawn. The store is great. Shawn's great. He cut me a deal on a statue. Everybody go there and buy stuff. And
they're all going to ask for a deal now.
Well, deals can be made. Look, anything that's already in this store.
Yeah, fair enough.
I want to get it the hell out of here so I can bring in other stuff. But that was my first test from the universe. Like, what kind of owner are you going to be? Are you going to think of yourself first or are you going to put the customer first?
Yeah.
And I think I chose correctly. And it came back to me in spades. The guy gave me a great review and, put pictures online like, oh, I love this piece so much. Everybody go to Fat Moose. And that's happened a few times since I took over.
Good. Yeah, I mean, I think and again, I've only worked at a store, but, I certainly know the temptation. It's like, especially, on a Wednesday when you're unpacking everything, you first dibs on whatever
dibs.
you want.
Yeah, this is mine, and this is mine, and this is mine.
Yeah, and then it's like you're working at the store all day. It's like it's constant temptation. It's like, you pass by something enough and it's like, oh, like that would look nice on my shelf. But I think the line is, you don't want to, especially as the owner, you don't want to consider what you have in the store as your personal collection. Right. But at the same time, I think, you can kind of look at it as like you're surrounded by it all the time, and that's how you experience and enjoy it. Like with the statue, right? Like, because what do you do with the statue? You put it in a display case and you look at it. Now, of course, the hardcore collectors would, counter that. It's, about actually, having it and owning it.
Oh, it's a struggle. My collector side and my store owner side are constantly at war.
Yeah. No, I understand. But
and I'm thankfully, the store owner side is winning. I've brought a few things from home that I've sold.
And you're planning to bring your entire collection, right? You had announced
Not my entire. I got to keep some of it.
But a substantial, right? You had announced this when you took over the store.
I have probably about 160 long boxes of comics that are doing me no good. They're just sitting in my sister's basement. So, when Matt owned the store, I didn't want to sell them on consignment or anything, because how do you keep track of that? If Matt's here or whatever, he's not going to write down in a book, all right, well, I sold this, but then these 4 books came from Shawn's collection. It was not feasible. But now that it's all mine, I can bring in my stuff, and anything I sell just helps the store.
And these are single issues.
Yeah, just the floppies. But I've got, stuff dating back 35 years worth of Daredevil, full run, X-Men, Batman. Great stuff. But right now, there's still a lot of stuff in the store as I'm cleaning and digging out from under tables and in closets. There's probably at least 2 dozen long boxes that need to be sorted and priced and put out. Like, I'm not going to bring in more stuff until I can get the stuff that's already here out.
But I think, kudos for this plan that you have to bring in your stuff, because I think that could be, it'll be great for your existing customers, but that could be the kind of attraction that might bring in new customers.
Oh, it's going to be nuts. Trust me. It's going to take a lot of time.
Yeah.
But when I do, I love telling people, when I first took over and news spread, Ben called me from Zap. Ben's a great dude. Zap's a great store. And he called me up. He's like, oh, congratulations. I wish you the best of luck. And I said, do you though? He goes, what do you mean? I said, remember my collection I was going to sell you? Like that 160 boxes or whatever? He goes, yeah. Like, I'm bringing them here. And I'm pricing them low, baby. And I'm going to have a back issue selection like no store has ever seen. And he goes, crap, I didn't think of that. I said, I hate to say it, Ben, I'm coming for you, man. I'm coming for everybody. Like, I want this store to be I want it to be that place that people talk about. People are like, holy crap, have you been to Fat Moose? Like, I want it to.
So is there anything else along those lines? And again, if it's something you are not ready to share yet, that's perfectly fine. But anything else, it's like you're planning to bring in the collection, anything else kind of aimed at that goal of...
I'm going to start dealing crystal meth.
Oh.
No. It's a joke, please. Totally kidding. I want to do more events, signing, sketch parties. I was thinking of doing like a drink and draw kind of night, which you got to be careful about advertising wise. Obviously you can't sell alcohol, and you also don't want people bringing in their own and leaving here hammered or whatever, more events and little things. I don't know. We used to do when Scott had the store, if a comic book movie came out, he'd see who wanted to go, and he'd get tickets for everybody, and we'd meet up, have a drink, and then go to the theater together. Sometimes there's 25, 30 of us all together. And, I might want to get something like that back in play.
Some more events.
Just events.
And outings.
Outings. It's I don't know. And being a musician, could always do a live music thing in here. I got the space for it.
Yeah. I know not in the immediate future, but doing conventions, is that something that is kind of on your list?
Eventually. Basically... it's just me and Justin is here and he helps me out, but there's 2 of us.
Yeah.
So to do a con, you need 2 guys there, which means I need a guy here to run the store, and I do not have that 3rd person yet.
Right.
I know your schedule's kind of tight.
Me? Yeah.
You'd be great. I'd love to have you work here.
Listen, we'll talk. That might actually be something for
you're
like a future.
far away. I know you got.
No, but that might be
going.
something for like a future miniseries. Like I would love to like come and work like a couple of days. And
Do
then
like a ride along.
Yeah, and then we podcast about it because it's like that's the thing. As much
I
time,
could use it, man. You got star power. I'd be like Anthony Desiato is working this week.
I don't think that would be a draw, but for as much time as now I've spent in all these stores, like I haven't worked a comic shop in a really long time, and there are major aspects of it that I miss that I actually would enjoy. So we'll see.
What I've been saying, my new catchphrase, aside from the drinking helps, has been all things are possible.
Yeah, in success, like anything.
When people are like, you should do this, you should do that, I'm like, look, all things are possible. Just give me time.
Do you find a lot of people are throwing suggestions
Oh my
at
God,
you?
everybody knows how to do this better than I do. Oh, you know what you should do? Oh, you should do this. Oh, you know what you should do? I'm like, cool. All right, open a comic shop and then you do it and tell me how it works for you. And I get it. That's part of it.
I mean, they're excited. Is there any like one thing in particular that stands out as like either something you've gotten has been suggested to you a lot, or something that was just like so out there, or?
It's just like the thing a lot of people say, eBay, online sales.
No.
I'm like, I can't right now. I want the store to be the place people come to buy stuff. If they can buy this stuff from me on eBay, they have no impetus to come to the store.
Right.
So then why am I paying rent? Why am I paying to keep the lights on? Like, I want this to be the destination. But yeah, everything from you should get a liquor license to you should have sexy cosplay girls working the counter. I'm like, cool, bring them in. If they don't mind working for store credit, bring in all the sexy cosplay girls you want. But yeah, everybody's got their ideas.
I mean, whether it's eBay or a convention, I mean, yeah, I do think there's value in having, some other outlet for something that, for your
conventions.
Stock.
Yeah, I was talking to Dave O'Hare about doing the Garden State Comic Fest in June. And I realized, like, you know what, it's too soon. Like, I'm still getting my legs under me. Like,
that might be like a year or two.
Yeah,
sort of
next
thing.
year I would almost guarantee I'll be at Comic Fest. But this year I got so much to do, even simple things like painting the lobby and things, and 101 things I got to do that are more important.
Any thought, this would be major, but I'm just like, any thought, like how happy are you with the store's current location? Because I know it's had different locations over the years. So you're currently,
Funny you should ask.
On the second floor above a dry cleaner, entrance in the rear.
Well, my landlord, he's great, older fella, but we get along. When I signed the lease, he was trying to get me to sign a lease before I even signed the contract to own the store. I'm like, I'm not signing anything. I could walk away right now. I could walk away and just go back to the pizzeria. Who's doing who the favor here?
Was the pizzeria sad when you left?
Oh yeah, I was sad. I still pop in. I try to pop in once a week, and say hi. And I was there 26 years.
I'm sure they're happy for you though. They know this is a dream.
Not the dream.
Not the dream. No, I know, but
I thought we covered that.
I know.
No, I know.
No, but the dream in the sense that, like,
I know. I miss those guys a lot. And the food's really good. I still go in once a week and they feed me for free. So I take advantage of that.
But so with the landlord.
Oh, the landlord. So he's like, do you want to sign a 1 year or a 2 year lease? I said, just one. He goes, why? Why not two? I was like, well, because in 1 year, I'm either going to ruin this place and it's going to be dead, or I'm going to do so well that I can get a better location. Because he was trying to squeeze me to raise the rent. Yeah. And I'm like, dude, come on. I said, consider what you have here. And if I leave, who's coming in? What are you going to put in this spot? It's not really zoned for anything. It was a dance studio. So he came in last week for the rent, and I was telling him I want to paint the stairway. I want to paint everything. And he goes, yeah, do whatever you want. I was like, well, I want to paint it black and do like an outer space theme. So as you walk up these 17 stairs of doom, at least you feel like you're coming into an experience. You're not just like trudging up these stairs. It gives you a goal. Like, I want to get up there and see what's up there. And he goes, yeah, do whatever you want. You want to replace the carpet? I'm like, no, I want you to replace the carpet. He goes, well, any improvements you want to make to the store is great, because then I can up the rent. I'm like, up the rent? I'm like, if any improvements I make to the store, if anything, you should lower the rent because I'm making it a better location. So, but he was joking around halfway, and I was halfway joking around. But I told him, like, you raise it by $1 and see how quickly I'm out of here.
Well, I mean, like in the documentary, you talk about how, this place is a destination, which has value in and of itself. But if it's a destination, it requires effort on the part of the customer to find it and get to it. potentially missing out on some growth opportunities, as opposed to like if you were, on a more, major road in a strip with other stores where there's more foot traffic.
Well, the tricky part is you don't want to move too far from where you are. When Elon moved from the Pine Plaza to here, I can almost see the Pine Plaza out the window, and he still lost customers.
Yeah.
Even though you can throw a rock.
I believe it. I believe it.
So if I move, and this town, Whippany's going through a lot of changes. They're tearing down the old mall where we were, and they're putting up affordable housing, and then up the street they're doing the same. So the landscape of this town is changing. So I don't know if it would help or hurt to move. Gotcha. I don't know what's available. I've got so much right now to deal with.
Right.
The last thing on my mind is relocating.
Yeah. No.
Don't tell my landlord, because then he's totally going to have me over a barrel and be like, aha. Yeah.
No, I get it. I mean, and honestly, it's like, you're working on building up what you have to make that as strong as possible.
Exactly.
So to try to throw a move on top of that. No, like
it would absolutely kill me to try.
Yeah, no. I was just curious what, like long term. And so kind of along those lines. So we talked about, you want to paint, you're going to bring in your collection, maybe some conventions down the line, maybe some more events, some outings. Any other, short or long-term plans, goals that you can share?
I think that's most of it. I mean, it's just, the thing is sell. I've been finding stuff in the closet and under tables. I'm like, why is this not out? I've made good money on things that were just like hidden.
You're preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
We had tons of stuff that had signs that say, "Don't touch, dumbass."
Right. But meanwhile, that's stuff that would sell. I had a guy come in. He called me a couple weeks ago, and he goes, I'm looking for a real obscure book. You don't have it, probably. X-Men Alpha. Like from the 90s, chromium cover, the kickoff to the Age of Apocalypse. He goes, yeah. I'm like, yeah, I got you, son. Come on in. I found two of them literally the day before I found them.
Yeah.
He came in, and it was like a $10 book. But he bought Alpha and Omega. He's like, oh my God, nobody has these. I'm like, yeah, I got them right here. And then out of nowhere, he goes, I'm sure you don't have any of the Absolute Carnage, that original Maximum Carnage, that 14-issue crossover from whenever.
Oh, I remember.
I said, I got you, fam. I pulled out the entire run, all 14 issues, signed, numbered, certified by Dynamic Forces. I literally found them 2 days prior in a box in the closet. He goes, what the hell? He's like, well, how do you have this? I'm like, dude, I'm magic. Yeah. I totally played it up like you came to the right store. So anything else you need, I got. And I sold it to him for like $200. I don't even know what the value was. They were marked at like $175. And I said, dude, these may have gone up. They may have gone down. I may be screwing you. You may be screwing me. I don't have time to research this. But they're signed. They're numbered. They're certified. 200 takes it. And he's like, this place is magic. And he was over the moon. He walked out of here like, I can't believe I found the most obscure random crap I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And I've been fine. I found Akira #1 last week. I found, the Venom Lethal Protector miniseries, the entire run of, the 6-issue run of Infinity Gauntlet, the original run. Just stuff that was just kind of fell by the wayside.
Matt did you a favor in a way.
Don't tell him. I hope he doesn't listen. He doesn't listen to podcasts.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't worry too much about that. Have you, as we're winding down here, I just want to make sure we get through a couple other things. Have you changed, or do you plan to change any policies, any store policies, like with respect to reservists or things like that?
No, I think what we have lined up is good. It's if you're, it's free to have a pull box. If you have 10 or more titles a month, you get 10% off any purchase. If you have less than that, or you're just walking off the street, we do the stamp card. Mm-hmm. So for every $10 you spend, you get a stamp. You get 10 stamps. You get $10 off any purchase. A lot of stores do, $5 each, and then you get $5 off. We doubled that years ago. And then, if you're a box holder and your box is getting full, I'm going to call you up and be like, hey, man, you alive? You coming in? But yeah, I don't think there's anything that needs to be changed as far as that goes. We've got a pretty good framework.
And then as far as just like the DNA of the store, in the documentary you talk about how this is like more of an old school comic shop.
Stop throwing that in my face.
I'm quoting you.
Well, how dare you?
And I've watched this footage many, many times, so it's
I never
ingrained.
said that, and if I said it, I didn't mean it, and if I meant it, I never said it.
But just kind of along those lines, I mean, is there any, like, atmospherically and just like the identity of the store, is there anything that you're looking to shift in any way?
Just be friendly, and people see it, that if you're just engaged with the people and enthusiastic, it comes back to you.
Yeah.
tenfold.
Well, no, and that's
You
evident
know.
by, what you've already described in terms of the response of the customers. I have to tell you, though, Odo and I, boy, we had such a laugh over one of your Facebook posts.
Oh, yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
You were talking about essentially how you don't have time to talk on the phone on Wednesday,
Yeah.
right? But you worded it in such a gentle, fun, friendly way. But I think Steve and I could both see like hints of what might come down the line. Because, for Steve, that was one of the Odoisms, like never call Steve on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
And he would berate solicitors if they called, but he would chastise customers and friends if they dared bother him on a Wednesday, because that's the new comic day. It's busy. And reading that post, it was like, oh man, like he's a few posts and like maybe a couple years away from like, don't call Shawn on a Wednesday.
No, see, here's the difference. I realized a long time ago, you can say terrible things to people if you make it funny. Look at Don Rickles. He built a whole career on insulting people, but he made it funny. So if somebody calls me on a Wednesday and it's one of my regulars, I will answer the phone, I'll see their name, and I'll be like, what the hell do you want? Why? Who do you think you are to call me on a Wednesday? And then they laugh. I'm like, no, but seriously though, what do you need?
Yeah.
Like I had a bank I think it's Wells Fargo has been trying to get me to switch bank accounts or whatever. He called me on a Wednesday. I'm like, I'm going to stop you right there. Like, let me tell you, if you want to talk to any comic shop, Tuesday and Wednesday, don't bother. Like that's when we're busy. But no, it's just a matter of, and it's also the musician stuff. They, I'll get texts and calls about rehearsals and gigs and freelance things, and they don't know about comic shops. So I'll be like, I can't let me get back to you later. An hour later. So can you do that gig? I'm like, let me get back to you tomorrow.
Right.
Like it's that's the problem is now the gigs are picking up again. January, February, it's slow. I've got some freelance stuff. I got a band that I'm doing a gig with next week, and they already asked me if I could do 2 dates in Philly, Memorial Day weekend. I'm like, I can't leave the store for 2 days. Like, and they're like, oh, it pays really well. We get hotel rooms. Like, it sounds great. I don't think I can do it. So to reconcile that, that's where the frustration comes from, because the music thing, it's not a schedule. It's gigs pop up, gigs go away, but as far as me being tired and frustrated that day, it was, I was definitely feeling tested by the universe. But it's even something as simple as my mom, and I love her to death. She's awesome, but she'll text me on a Wednesday like, hey, how's everything? And then I don't get back to her. So 2 hours later, she's like, are you okay? You didn't get back to me. Like, Mom, what day is it? She goes, oh, right, it's a Wednesday. I'm so sorry. I'll talk to you tomorrow. It's just...
Everyone will learn.
People who text me, my friends who have quote unquote real jobs who have to be at work at 9 will text me at 8:30 on their commute, like, hey, what are we doing this thing? And I'm always like, don't, please, like, I don't have normal people hours. Like, right. It's, I'm used to it too when I worked at the pizzeria. Most people, they have their lunch break. That's when they text you, like, hey, you want to? And I'm like, that's when I'm the busiest. Yeah, like that's when I'm at my busiest. So that's all that post was. It was funny though when I saw you, like, oh, it's starting already. He's gonna be bitter. It's not. It really. Just there are moments of frustration. It's just like with anything.
Well, I'm glad that you had the time to do that. To do this podcast today
on my day off.
I know.
I get 1 day off a week.
I know. Well, this was the day to come when the store was closed and
exactly.
we had silence.
No, I'm happy to do it, man.
But again, congratulations on this.
Thank you.
Like I said, I've been, we've been speaking, of course, but I've been watching, through Facebook and everything. And
is it funny that I actually think of you when I post certain things?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, Anthony will get a kick out of this.
No, but
you're in my thoughts.
But I'm so happy that you're doing this. I think the store's in great hands. I think I agree with Nicole. I think, I think this will go well, but even if it doesn't, it's like, at least that you tried. And it's like, again, I didn't, going back to when AR was closing, I mean, Steph and I, we did have one conversation where we were like seriously saying like, should we try to do something? And, but I don't think I had the desire. I mean, I don't know if the store were still around and it were closing today, I might approach it a little differently, but at the same time, I think I only would approach it differently because of the experience I've had over the past few years going to all of these stores.
Right.
So probably not if I hadn't had that. But it's like but so I didn't really have the chance to save my store. And it's like, you had that chance and you took it and you've done it. And it's fantastic.
Well, I haven't done it. doing it. I'm working on it. Everything could go tits up tomorrow.
Every day past January 1 that the store is here, that's a victory. And so keep that in mind as you're dealing with all these headaches and hassles that come up.
Not to get sappy on you, but, when we had this back and forth through Messenger, I forget what kicked it off, but I said something like, man, you're doing this and the job and the kid and the wife and the documentary and the pie. I was like, you're my hero. And you immediately wrote back to me, you're like, dude, you saved Fat Moose. You're my hero. I'm like, holy crap, we're each other's heroes. Like, it's this mutual sort of like admiration where when I do get kind of overwhelmed, I honestly literally think of you. I'm like, well, Anthony's killing it out there, man. Like, he's doing 8 things. You got this one thing. Quit being a crybaby and do this thing, like I'm serious.
Wow, no, I appreciate that. I mean, I think, when you have passion for something, that really drives a lot, and you're able to do more than you thought you could. I appreciate that. But yeah, no, I admire the fact, like, you saved your store. Had the store gone away, would you have done a podcast on Fat Moose? You should have done that.
Would be full of spite and bile and expletives, and it would have been
So we ended up really not talking about the other stores in the documentary, but just as we close,
screw those guys. No, I'm just
but as we close out here. So, like I said, it's been a little while since I filmed the movie, and there have been some other changes. Now, this is not meant to be exhaustive. I'm sure there are other developments at various stores I might not be aware of. This is not meant to be like, here's everything that's happened with every store, but just some of like the real like big picture major changes that I'm aware of. Cave Comics, our store in Connecticut, the owner, Pat Callanan, he retired, and one of his employees took over the store. So
the store's still going.
Yeah, and the store's still going. So
I love that.
Fat Moose, we have a change in ownership.
That's great.
We have a couple of stores, for as much as we talk about like how challenging the business is, and the risk of stores closing, we actually have a couple of stores that expanded. Challengers in Chicago opened a second location. So they have, and you'll recall from the movie, that red motif in the store. So they now have Challengers Blue.
Oh, nice.
Elsewhere in the city. And Torpedo Comics, our beautiful showcase of vintage books, they opened a second operation, I think in California.
Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I have to double check that.
Hi, Gabe.
Yeah, exactly. Gabe, shout out to Gabe too, because he really showed the social media love in the promotion of the documentary. I'm not trying to take anything away from his face changed.
It did not. Dare you? Gabe's great, man. Gabe tells it like it is, man. I like that guy.
If certain things pan out, we might all be on a panel together at a certain event. But we won't say anything more.
Do you understand? I got to tell you,
we won't say anything more.
I won't say anything more, except that haunts my dreams.
If
we can actualize this.
Hopefully things come to pass. Unfortunately, it's vintage. The owner of that store, Alan Boss, he's in the documentary. He's our toy customizer and collector. He did have a storefront. That's what he's interviewed in during the movie. But he did shut down the storefront. But he still is doing custom toys, and people can book him online. So not the end, but just the end of that storefront. And then Heidi Ho, I had filmed them while they were in the midst of a move, but they are now fully moved into their new, smaller location. So those are just a few things. But
also a new store that I must give a shout out to, because the guy's really cool. His name's Bradley. It's a store called Expired Robot, and it's in Kenelon, in the Kenelon Plaza, Kenelon Mall, but it's a smaller store. It's a little, mall store. He's been open since, I don't know, September, October, but great little shop, great guy. Good. It's nice to see a new store.
Yeah.
And it's nice that he's not anywhere near me, so I don't have to worry about, I don't have to take him out.
Yeah.
But no, it's always, it's encouraging. I never got any sort of animosity between stores, unless they're across the street from you.
Right.
Like you had in Westchester. Wasn't it like a Dragon's Den was right across the street from something else?
We had, Dragon's Den and One If By Cards, Two If By Comics were right across the street from each other.
If you're, more than 20 minutes away from me, then God bless you. Go ahead, do your thing. If somebody opened across the street, sure, I'd have to prepare the Molotov cocktails. I mean, that's just the reality of it. But no, I love to see stores flourishing and new stores opening, and stores like Zap doing their own cons and stuff. Like, it's great. It can only help us all in the long run.
Yeah, so those are some of the updates on a few of the stores in the movie. And, now that the movie's out there, I don't know what, if any, effect it'll have, but, hopefully people will see some of these stores and maybe go to them,
I'm just so happy the movie's out there.
Me too.
like, it feels good, man.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming.
Yeah. Well, you deserve all of it, man. You deserve everything coming your way.
Well, I appreciate your support, and again, congratulations on the store. Again, if you're listening to this, come in. You'll have a good time. You'll have a good time.
You think anybody got this far into this podcast?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
thanks, guys. We appreciate it.
But come into Fat Moose. You'll have a good time with Sean.
That's right.
I think listeners
What's the
have gotten that
tagline?
sense.
Come for the comics, stay for the cocktails.
There you go.
Put that on a t-shirt.
That was my conversation with Shawn Hendricks. I want to thank him very much for taking part in this episode, as well as our commentary episode a few weeks ago. Thank you to everyone who has listened. Thank you to everyone who has watched My Comic Shop Country, and especially those who have reached out and shared their feedback and written reviews and posted about it on social media. It really means a lot. I appreciate it very much. And above all else, it just it means the world to me that the movie has resonated. I'm so happy that it's finally out there. If somehow you've listened to all of these podcast specials and you still haven't watched the movie yet, I hope that you'll be able to take the time to do so. I think you'll enjoy it, especially given what we've all been going through in recent months. Again, the doc is very much a love letter to stores and what they mean to us and the power that they have to bring us together. And I think it's something that, now more than ever, I think will resonate. So if you haven't watched it yet, I hope you will. On the podcast front, these specials that we've been doing, highlighting My Comic Shop Country, these have taken the place of the Homecoming miniseries, which was originally intended to run over this period of time. And of course, we had to put that on pause due to the pandemic. I still have every intention of concluding the Homecoming in some way, shape, or form as soon as we're able to. That might occur later this year. It might be in 2021. But please keep an eye and ear out for that. This is certainly not the last of My Comic Shop history, maybe for right now, but we'll definitely be back. I'm already thinking about plans for 2021. As you know, we always do something a little bit different each year, so I'm thinking right now about what that will be. But in the meantime, make sure that you are connected on social media. There's the My Comic Shop History and My Comic Shop Country Facebook pages. My Comic Shop Doc on Twitter, My Comic Shop Country Movie on Instagram. You can always sign up for the Flat Squirrel newsletter at flatsquirrelproductions.com. So thank you, as always, to everyone for all of your support. And as always, don't be a flat squirrel.